we need to, I think, shine a light on firsts and when barriers are broken, right? It's so that we remember that there was a time when there weren't women flying fighter aircraft, when there was a time when we had a segregated military, that we honored those firsts so that we never go back and so that we keep the door open. But you're hitting on a third point, which is important, which is the inspirational aspect of it. Just like you, man, I looked up to the women Air Force service pilots of World War II, right? Knowing their story in middle school meant something to me. I mean, I remember reading about Robin Olds, right? And Chappie James, right? One of the greatest fighter pilots of all time. And those stories inspired me. And then I find myself going to the Air Force Academy right at the time that they're lifting the ban on women to be fighter pilots. And Jeannie Leavitt, right? Jeannie Leavitt, America's first woman fighter pilot as a lieutenant, is all over the news. And I'm thinking, man, she's doing it. And that means I can do it. And that idea that representation matters is so fact-based. I spent the first half of my career, and I don't know if you felt this way, I hated nothing more than being called the woman fighter pilot. I couldn't stand being called the first Thunderbird pilot. I wanted to just take that woman qualifier and just throw it away because I just wanted to be known as a great fighter pilot or a good Thunderbird pilot. And then I went to my very first air show. So I'm mid-career now, 30 years old, senior captain. I go to my first air show and I'm on the autograph line for the first time. First of all, I'm exhausted because I worked hard on that air show. Second of all, I'm dripping sweat. I was sitting there thinking, hey, that went well. Like nothing bad happened. It was just an adrenaline dump. And now I've got to go to the autograph line and interact with people and be energetic and happy. And I remember being on that autograph line and there was all sorts of media there because first woman Thunderbird pilot, right? And I'm looking down at the other male pilots, great teammates, fantastic men, fantastic friends. They've got like 10, 20 people standing in front of them. And all of a sudden it was like slow motion, you guys. I looked up and in front of me, there was a line easily 100 deep. This was in Fort Smith, Arkansas. And what do you think the demographic of that line looked like?
All girls.
Right, a bunch of young women, right?
Yeah.
From the ages of about 10 to 16. And they were looking at me as if I had hung the moon, right? And it was in that moment that I realized it means something to see someone who looks like you succeed. Yep. And it wasn't about me or my name. It's that my presence, it allowed them to believe in their own dreams, right? That whether it was flying aircraft or joining the military or not, that these things were possible.